Then, here we are, and welcome to those of you who I don't know yet. I'm Brad Roth, I'm a professor of political science and law and director of undergraduate studies in the Department of Political Science. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you all our special guest for this evening, Beverly Williams. Beverly Williams, give some background, did her bachelor's degree at Douglas College of Rutgers University, State University of New Jersey, then did a master's in public administration at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and then a law degree at Rutgers University, Newark. She was a clerk to the Chief Justice of New Jersey, Supreme Court Chief Justice Robert N. Wilentz. And that's how I know her, because she and I were co-clerks in 1987-88 for the chief. And Ms. Williams then went on from there to work as an employment lawyer, particularly for the firm of Epstein, Brecker and Green, and then embarked on a career as an author and podcast host and general career advisor on these matters that we're going to be talking about this evening. She has appeared on television and on the internet, and she has published a book on employment matters and has another one coming out. And so with no further ado, I will turn things over to Beverly Williams.
Thank you, Professor Roth. I'm very happy to be here with you. Had I known that my friend could make this happen, I would have offered to do this long ago. He did me a solid, and I just thought that I should do something for him. And I asked if his students would be interested, that he should check with the career development people to see whether there was any interest. And he says, "Oh, that's me. I can make it happen." So here we are. If you have any questions, if you want to, I don't know, the chat, can you manage the chat?
Yeah.
Professor? I loved calling you that. You know that, don't you?
She's never been this respectful to me at any other time. Yeah,
well, I am nothing if not adaptable. I realize these are your students. I must be respectful. When it's over, it will change. Okay, you want to start? We're going to talk about, I don't know whether they told you, we're going to talk about networking and mentoring. And typically, I do two separate presentations on these topics. This is the first time that I've combined them. And quite frankly, I was surprised that I hadn't thought to do it before, because it's like yin and yang. Networking helps you get a job. Mentoring helps you keep a job. Whether you're pursuing a career or you're pursuing an application to graduate school or professional program, postgraduate, after you leave Wayne State, this will be helpful if you keep what I tell you in mind. Now, let me give you some more background on me. I don't have children. I'm not married. I don't have children, but I am godmother to, I think it must be about 15. And those who I'm not godmother to, they call me either godmother or Aunt Beverly. I'm not a parent, so I don't have to think about how and what I say to the young people I'm close to. So when they say, "Oh, Aunt Beverly, I did such and such and such and such, you're going to be so proud of me," my response is, "You tell me what you did, and I'll be the judge of that." And that stops them in their tracks. I'm not telling you, I'm giving you advice for you to accept or reject. I find that not only young people, people generally don't always follow advice that they're given. But it's good to have had exposure to it so that if you embark down a different path and it doesn't work, you can backtrack and hopefully go back and retrieve advice that you were given previously. And hopefully that'll work for you. And that's what I try to do. I don't expect you to run out and do exactly what I tell you to do. Hopefully it will at least make you think. You want to start, Brad, with the slide?
Yeah, let's. All right.
Okay. Now, networking. We talk about networking generically, but there are two different kinds of networking: old school and new school networking, live, and now in the age of COVID-19, virtual networking. Those two, person to person. And then there's social media networking. And that is person to person on a grander scale. Typically you reach more people. My recommendation to all of you who are listening is to use old school and new school networking simultaneously and vigorously. My motto is leave no stone unturned. In this kind of job market, you need to exhaust all possibilities. Now that we're in the midst of COVID-19, we've resorted to virtual interactions. You have to become more creative about how you identify people for you to network with. Networking is one of the most, if not the most critical means of finding a job. Believe that. You can Google that and you will see that I am not lying to you. You need to engage people. You may hear someone say something either on the phone or to someone next to them in a grocery store, in the cleaners, wherever you are. And they may say something that could lead you to a job. And what would you do? You don't know them, they don't know you. If it's something that piques your interest or something that you think you could help them with, you can say, excuse me, I wasn't eavesdropping, but I did happen to overhear you. What you can do is you can take your pet to the pet store down the street. They will help you right away. I know the people who own that, and they're very receptive and very helpful. Now, you didn't tell them you needed a job, but you did them a solid. You helped them. You gave them information because the conversation was about their pet. Why not? They're concerned about their pet. People are very attached to their pets. They're members of their family. If you could help that person, you don't know that that person doesn't know somebody else who could help you find a job, who could connect you to someone who could help you find a job. All I'm saying is you have to think outside the box is usually the phrase that's used. You have to be more creative in how you connect with people, and connecting with people will get you employed. Believe that. Now, I'm not going to tell you it's going to get you a job that's going to make you $500,000 a year, but it will get you a job. It will give you a start. If you don't network vigorously, you may have a problem when other people around you are being more successful. Now, I'll be honest with you, you might not. You might get lucky. But I'm telling you, you can't go wrong if you begin to network vigorously. And what you do is you make sure that you keep a record of the people you come in contact with, either email address, phone numbers. If they have a landline, a cell phone, whatever, you want to be able to get in touch with people. Social media is equally important. If you have a social media platform, if you have a social media footprint, you've got to make sure that that social media footprint is going to serve you well. If you're not tweeting or posting images on Instagram and elsewhere that are going to cast you in a favorable light, you need to go and clean up those platforms, your presence on those platforms. Don't rely on the privacy features. Too many people have lost jobs relying on those privacy features. Now, one of the reasons networking works so well is because first impressions, which are based on personal appearance and ability to communicate, people stick in, the first impression sticks in a person's mind. If you meet someone and you've helped them in some way, or you've presented yourself in a fashion that made the person stop and think, well, that was a nice thing to say, or that was a nice thing to do, or doesn't that person look nice in whatever it is you have on? That's important. Like someone told me once, you don't get a chance to make a second impression, a first impression. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression. They're important, but they're not the end all be all. I'm going to tell you a story. Years ago, I always went to work pulled together, no question. But on the weekend, I became a little lax. I mean, it was my time. I was out one Saturday morning, and I ran into the security guard at the company I worked at. She didn't recognize me. I said hello to her, and she didn't know who I was. And that made me think. I said, you know what? You really need to stop doing this, because you could be out. And this could be, someone could see you and it could be a big break for you. And you're out here looking like the bottom of somebody's shoes. You better pull it together. So now when I leave the house, I try to look pulled together. I don't always want to do it, but now that I'm a woman of a certain age, I have no choice. I don't leave the house unless I'm pulled together. Now, we've lost the screen, but no fair. I can proceed. I can proceed. Now, one of the other things is, I don't know whether you know this, hiring decisions are based in part on intangibles. Now, they look for your education, your experience. They like to interview you so they can see what your attitude is like, what your personality is like. They want to know whether you would fit in with their organization, whether you come across as a team player, whether you're a polite person, whether you have mastered the social graces. Don't think for 2 seconds that it's not important that you say please and thank you, and you acknowledge kindnesses. When you're out interviewing or networking, if you're at a cocktail party, hopefully we'll be able to socialize after COVID. If you're at an event like a cocktail party, don't be snarky to the wait staff or the custodial workers. Those people are important people. They're humans, but they're important people. They're humans just like everybody else. The way you treat the CEO, you should treat the admins and the cafeteria staff, the lesser known, lower paid employees. You should treat them the same way, because I'm going to tell you, those people can help you get a job. They can help you do well on your job, do better than you would if you weren't connected to them. They can give you information that can be helpful. That security guard that didn't recognize me that Saturday morning was one of my biggest fans, and she was always very helpful to me. And I always appreciated her support. And I'm telling you, support comes from different places. Now, as I said before, networking doesn't always lead to a job, at least the first round. One of my young friends was angry because her father introduced her to a judge, and set up an interview with the judge for the young person. And so after the interview, I talked to her, and she was angry because the judge didn't have a job. I was just, well, Bev, the judge didn't have a job. I said, what do you mean? Well, Daddy told me to go and interview with him, but he didn't have a job. You need to understand, there are things called courtesy interviews. Now, the objective in that instance was to impress the judge, so the judge would want to help her. You get it? He didn't have a job, but do you know how much influence judges have? Do you know how many different people judges know? Lawyers, doctors, all kinds of people with all kinds of jobs. And I told her, I said, look, you need to understand, you're not going to go walk right into a job. You have to do the legwork. You have to dot the I's, cross the T's. You have to impress people. I went to an event at a university, and the venue was lovely, and it was a great affair. The food was good. It was a lovely day, and I met about, I would say, between 10 to 20 recent graduates. They just got their MBA. And I talked to them, and they told me that they were looking for jobs, and they passed out business cards, and, we chatted, blah, blah, blah. But I was having dinner in another section of the venue with some people that I was meeting later on. So I excused myself, and I went to freshen up. And when I came out of the ladies' room, this young man was waiting for me. I had met him earlier, and he extended his hand. This was pre-COVID. He extended his hand. He said, Miss Williams, my name is so-and-so. I'm a recent graduate. I have my MBA. I just finished an internship at 123 XYZ company. I'm looking for, I don't know whether they're going to bring me on full time. So I'm really looking for a job. This is what I bring to the table, blah, blah, blah. And I'm standing there looking at the guy, and I'm like, wow. I mean, it is though he had been in my head in my first book, and he had read it. And I said, wow. I said, give me your contact information, and I'll see if I can help you. I wanted to help him because I knew he was serious. I knew that he had put in the work. He was dressed appropriately. The eye contact was there, the extended firm handshake, not fishy, firm handshake. The other thing he said, and I forgot this, before he left, he said, oh, by the way, Miss Williams, I should tell you, I'll be out of town on vacation for the next couple of weeks. So if I tried to get in touch with him, I wouldn't be able to reach him, and I wouldn't be put off by that. If he hadn't told me that, I might have just said, oh, he's not interested. That was important too. I was thoroughly impressed with him, and I was not surprised that when he came back from vacation, he got a job, and he got a job at one of my former clients, and I didn't have anything to do with it. So he saw an opportunity. I would have tried to help him. I don't know whether I would have been successful, but he wasn't a tough sell. He was selling himself. He was marketing himself, and he was doing a really good job at it. So networking can lead to referrals, or it can lead to employment. So when I talk about networking, I want you to think about some other things. So I used, is it acronym? Is that the word I was trying to figure out before, Brad? Anyway, nail it. Networking is the N. I've talked about that. A is ask questions. Don't be afraid or embarrassed to say you don't know. If you have a job and you've been given an assignment and you don't know what to do, you need to find out how to do it. You need to Google it. You need to go and talk to people. And if after doing all that, if you've exhausted all the possibilities and you still don't know, then you go to your boss and you say, I don't know. This is what I've done. You have to let him or her know that you have exhausted the possibilities and you just don't know which way to proceed. But ask questions. If you have the opportunity to take on more work, you try to find out how to do what it is you don't know how to do. You may know how to do some of it and you don't know how to do all of it. You ask questions, gather information. You also, the I is improve. You want to acquire new skills like a language or enhance your vocabulary. I used to like those Reader's Digest word power things to see whether, I knew the definitions of words. Increase your vocabulary. You don't want to sound like some egghead, but you do want to have a vocabulary that accurately expresses your thoughts and not in extremely simplistic terms. Communications are important, writing and speaking publicly. One of the things that I found out about later in life is Toastmasters. If you haven't tried Toastmasters, it's the best bang for your buck I've seen. It's an international organization in, over 100 countries. They meet at local sites and they work with you. You work on your presentation skills, your speaking, and leadership skills. I think it's a $20 new person fee or thereabouts, and $45 each 6 months. And they give you with that comes books. You do you have to stand up before the group and give a presentation, not every week, but every few weeks, and you become more confident and comfortable with speaking publicly. And that's going to help you no matter what you decide to do. If you decide to be an attorney, if you decide to be a teacher, if you decide to be a politician, if you decide to own your own business and be a plumber, or if you decide to be an employee and be a plumber, you still need to communicate and you need to be comfortable doing so. Now, the L, learn as much as you can about other countries or states or region of the country. We are an eclectic country. There are people of different nationalities, ethnicities. We need to become better acquainted with people who don't look like us. I am extremely fortunate. My network looks like the United Nations, and I'm the better for it. Truly, I am. People do things differently in different parts of the country. I worked for a New York law firm, and I had a problem. Well, my client had a problem with a company in Georgia, in Atlanta, and we had a government intervention. The government had gotten involved, and the government was threatening to do something. And I sent a New York lawyer letter to the government agency in Atlanta, and they were taken aback. They don't do. Whoa! What happened? So one of our local people, one of my clients' local people called me and said, you know, I don't know how y'all do things up north, but we don't do things like that down here. And I went to Atlanta and schmoozed and smoothed it over. And, you know, I started attending their events. And so they could say, oh, yes, well, so-and-so came down from New York City to attend. And it worked out well. It worked out for me because it benefited my client, and it worked out for the agency. So you have to be aware that the way things are done in Michigan may not be the way they're done in California or Ohio or Texas or Vermont. So you have to be mindful about that and learn about how things are done and the people in different areas of the country and the world. Most importantly, all of these things are an investment, and that's important. You want to invest in yourself, invest your time and your effort and your resources, financial and otherwise. You are the best bang for your investment buck. And T is time management. Those of you who don't manage your time well, you need to get jiggy with it. You need to start figuring out what you have to do to improve. You need to be on time. You need to get projects done on time. You never overcommit and underdeliver. That is a career limiting trait, something that you need to get rid of. Now, oh, the other T that I use is tenacity. Don't let anybody knock you off course. You have to be tenacious. It's your career. You have to own it. You have to manage it. Don't wait for HR to manage your career. You handle your business yourself. And in the new employment reality, and this is what I call what we're living through now. When I wrote my first book, it was 2008, the Great Recession. When I updated my book, and because I got it, the first book was self-published, and I paid for everything. I couldn't afford to pay for another book from soup to nuts, but I got a traditional publisher. Who knew? I was surprised, but they found me and they liked the first book, and I got to update it. It's more current now. It's COVID current and virtual. It includes material about working virtually and finding a job in this virtual world. It's just different than it was 12 years ago. You need to be proactive, but you have to do it in a way that emphasizes civility and respect. You don't want to turn people off by being too aggressive, but you cannot afford to let HR handle your career because it's not as important to them as it is to you. And it's important that you handle your business. Now, I think that's it for networking. We're going to segue into mentoring. Now, mentoring is equally as important as networking, but networking comes first. You got to get a job to need a mentor. If the purpose of the mentor is to help you, excuse me, along your employment journey. It can be it can be a very, very rewarding experience if you have the right mentor. It should be someone that you like and respect and whose career you want to emulate. Someone who has made the decisions, the right decisions for them, and can help you formulate a career path, a career journey for yourself. It's an opportunity to really fast track your career, because otherwise you might be doing it on your own without the benefit of someone else's experience and knowledge. It's an opportunity to share, for someone to share their experience, their knowledge with you, and for you to benefit from that. So it's a really powerful relationship. Now, don't embark on this relationship, don't start unless you're serious and unless you're committed to making it work. If you find that the mentor, the person that you've selected, and you've got to ask the person, well, we'll get back to that. You really should ask the person if they will mentor you. Mentoring can be a formal or informal relationship. A lot of companies have formal mentoring programs where employees are matched with junior, and employees are matched with more senior employees. Informal mentoring, it may be someone that you've known for years, that maybe a friend's parent, and you've known them for years and you've always admired them. You like what you see. You like the way they handle their business, and you ask them if they would mentor you. And everyone doesn't want to do it because it is an awesome responsibility. And don't forget that it is a responsibility on both sides. One of the things that you should do when you begin either a formal or informal mentorship, you want to make sure that you establish the parameters of the relationship. You want to make sure that you know what to expect, and what is expected of you. What's expected of you. For example, how soon, how quickly will communications be responded to? Telephone calls, emails, texts. When will you meet? You're going to meet every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. What happens if you can't make that meeting? How do you communicate that? You want to make sure that you both know what's expected and that you honor those expectations. And if you're not going to honor them, don't begin the relationship. And if you find that the person that you've selected for your mentor, it's really not fitting the way, it's not working out the way you thought it would, it's just not working for you. Figure out a way that you can remove yourself, say, I've got some personal problems and I'm going to need to focus more on my family. I've got some things going on with my family, or I've got some things going on with school. It's going to require me to focus more on that. Think of a way that doesn't hurt the mentor's feelings so that you can remove yourself from that relationship. But if you can make it work, if you can find a mentor and make the relationship work, it will help you as the mentee become more effective at work. I mean, it can, if you have a problem at work and you take it to your mentor, the two of you can talk about it and probably work out some way for you to address it so that it can you can achieve a favorable result. You may also learn new skills. The mentor is an experienced, seasoned professional in whatever industry. They can help you. They can help you learn new skills, identify skills that you should learn, help you make choices about enhancing your skill set and how to go about doing that. when you learn more, when you know more, you should have more confidence. It should give you more confidence. It should help you make better professional and personal decisions. Another thing I like to do always, no matter, not just for mentorships, but in any relationship, you want to create a win-win situation. Your mentor is not getting paid. The mentor is volunteered to help you free of charge, to work with you, to help you develop as an employee, as a professional. What can you do for the mentor? Now, it may be that the mentor has a new computer or a new printer, and you know how to set those things up with no problem. Offer to help, offer to set it up. It may be that you can walk, they have an animal, and you want to walk their dog. You offer to walk the dog, take the cat to the vet, offer to do something. So, or you know what? Bring a gift. If you can afford something that you can afford, maybe if they drink wine, a bottle of wine. If they don't drink wine, a bottle of sparkling cider, something to show your appreciation. You want to create a win-win situation. Now, the next slide, mentoring. As I said, you want to clarify responsibilities and establish parameters. The objective is to maximize the mentoring experience. If you're not going to do that, don't embark on the journey. The power of mentoring, it can lead to more networking. It can expand your networking group. It can help you get a promotion, prepare you to be promoted. It can prepare you to acquire a better job with another employer. It can open doors that might have otherwise been closed. But as I said earlier, don't accept a mentor if you're not committed to the relationship. Your lack of commitment may come back to bite you. Hypothetical. Consider this. Someone asks your mentor, what about Beverly? I'm thinking about hiring her. What do you think? Oh, she is really a nice person. Now that's the kiss of death. Now, what you want the mentor to say, I'd hire her myself if I could. If I had a job, I'd hire her. She's fabulous. When you say, it's like a blind date. Somebody wants you to go out with somebody. You say, what do they look like? Oh, such a nice person. You know what that means. So you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. The last slide, I think. Now, these are my final thoughts. Whatever you do, whether you're networking, whether you're looking for a mentor, whether you're interacting with people you're networking with, or with your mentor, or you're writing a letter, a business letter, whether you're applying to graduate schools, whether you're applying for scholarships, you always communicate strategically, whether it's in writing, whether it's verbal. It's important that you communicate in such a way that you leave people with a favorable opinion of you. You don't have to disclose everything that you may have been through, all your trials and tribulations. Rather than be specific, you can allude to challenges that you've experienced as you've journeyed through life. Without going, and you can say, without going into detail. I have I have climbed the mountain, and it wasn't easy, but I'm stronger for it, and I'm on top, and I feel good about the journey. You always want it to be positive, but communicate strategically. Don't tell everything about yourself. I'll give you an example. I was, after I graduated from law school, I applied, I was being interviewed by one of the top firms in New Jersey. And the senior partner asked me why I became a lawyer. So I told him, and I tend to be honest. I said, I told him, I said, because I liked Perry Mason. I watched Perry Mason and I wanted to be a lawyer. The man looked at me like I was crazy. Now, I was being honest, but that didn't get me the job. So being honest is important, but being strategic is equally as important. You do not have to give them everything. And when you are in a networking situation or mentoring situation or social situation in a business context, you should think of communications as if you were in a job interview. You know, you wouldn't sit at the table with your napkin, or tucked in your blouse or your shirt at the neck. That doesn't convey a polished appearance. You want to communicate to the person, to anyone who may be observing you, that you are a pulled together professional who knows how to handle and conduct themselves in any given situation. And as I said, everything disclosed should be calculated to leave the person with a positive impression and your desired objective. So I hope I've been helpful. I told Professor Roth that you could have the deck, just so you can write on it, make notes, and refer to it in case, you can put it someplace. You can put it someplace in case you decide not to use it right away. But it'll be,
People can feel free to email me, and I can email them the slides.
does anyone have
So I'm at
questions? Oh, I'm sorry.
brad.roth@wayne.edu. I'll put that in the chat so that everybody has it.
Does anybody have questions? No? Oh, there's one. Oh, that's you. Is that
So-
you?
No,
Yeah. Oh, it's not. Okay, wait a minute.
No, but thank you very much for this information.
it was very
Oh, this is
helpful.
my pleasure. What are you guys planning on doing? Are you seniors?
I'm almost a senior. I'm like, after this semester, I'll be a senior.
Well, that's good. What do you want to
Thank
do after you graduate?
I want to attend law school. I do want to be an attorney. I do want to do that. I'm thinking about, I'm gonna be graduating earlier than my expected graduation date. So only thing I'm planning on doing now is trying to navigate the LSAT and hopefully choose a law school very soon.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Just remember the stuff that find a mentor. When you go, well, listen, studying for the LSAT may be stressful. So be kind to yourself. I used to go to the movies by myself just to, take a break, because it can be stressful. Find a mentor for law school so that they can help you, decompress, because it's going to be a different experience. When you go to law school, you're also going to want to find a study group. Brad, did you have a study group in law school? Probably not.
It's hard to remember back that far. Yeah, I think it was kind of ad hoc. I don't think I had any steady study group, but I did get together with people to study stuff.
Okay, it's a good idea to have somebody to study with. What you find in law school is they like for you to spot issues. I guess that's still the same. And the more people you interact with that are different from you, the more you learn. And they share what they think and stuff that you wouldn't even have considered. It would have never occurred to you. And that will give you a leg up. But you want to make sure that the person you study with, if it's one person or several, that everybody carries their weight. Everybody does what they say they're going to do. They're reliable, and everybody's getting what they need. If they're not helpful, then you cut them loose, because you don't have time to fool with people who are not reliable.
By the way, I put the slide
Thank
deck
you.
into the chat, so people should be able to download that.
Okay, great. But yeah, get a mentor. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Has anybody else got plans after they graduate?
I have a question.
Sure. Kennedy?
Yeah. What would you recommend would be the best way to prepare for the LSATs? Through different Khan Academy, Princeton, review, something like that, or just getting books?
Do you test well? Okay, if you don't know, then the answer is no.
Yeah.
If you're hesitating, the answer is no. I mean, when I say the answer is no, I don't mean that you don't test well, but you're not sure. You know what I mean? And if you're not sure,
test, no, I don't.
no, okay. Well, then the first thing when are you going to sit for the LSAT?
I'm planning probably gonna take two, so I was gonna try and take one in April, I think, and then probably another one later on in 2021.
Okay, what I would do is I would go online to Amazon and get the Barron's LSAT manual. I'd start there. And you have the money for a course?
Still trying to figure that out depending on the course and stuff. But I feel like if I actually really need to take the course, I'm sure there's a way I could figure out how to get there.
Okay. You need to do the research on the course. You don't want to take the course. You want to take the best course you can pay for. You don't want to go into serious debt, but you want to get the best, you want to take the best course that has the best results.
Right.
I'm not familiar with Khan. I know what Khan Academy is. I didn't know they were doing LSAT, but do the research and talk to people. Brad, do you have any information on that, on LSAT results?
No, I really don't. And, I don't want to also be in the position of endorsing one for-profit company over another. So
to endorse anything.
yeah.
I asked a simple question.
Yeah, no, I know.
I just asked if you had any information. Sometimes schools provide that information. But no, I would do the research and see what you come up with. But I'd start with the Barron's. At least that'll give you a sense of what the questions will be like. Information is important. You don't want to go in cold. So
right. I just got a pre-test for earlier this week, so I kind of know what they're looking for, but I know I definitely need to study more for it and look into what would be my best option.
But go online and Google it.
Okay, thank you.
And Google and see what people are saying about the various options, and see what fits you best.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Well, my new book will be out in March, I think. What is the name of it? GPS to Employment Success. Brad, I had that phrase trademarked. And
Ah.
then, and after about 8 years, I gave it up. And now I don't even care. I don't even care. Any other questions? Any other about anything? I'm willing to talk. We have another half hour.
We can turn the recording off if people want to talk.
Oh yeah, we can turn the recording off.
You want to turn it off?
Turn the recording off, Brett, please.
Okay.
Anybody want to ask an unrecorded question?